Oh my gosh, we are live. We are now recording, and
Awesome.
this is going to be a special episode. This is number two where I'm recording ahead of time, or the second time that I've ever done this. It's going to be great. I have my special guest, Zal.
Hello,
How do you
hello.
pronounce your last name? I don't want to butcher it.
It's Pantaki.
I'm happy I asked.
Actually, yeah,
Okay.
I say Panthaki because it's simpler, but that's how it's pronounced. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Well, let's start off with a little bio, and then I'm going to describe what we're doing and why today is unique. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
Jonathan
awesome.
Geyer. I helped implement health info. My claim to fame, or biggest claim to fame so far, is helping implement a health information exchange for the state of Minnesota. In that opportunity, I was able to sit down and drink a cup of coffee with 30 some odd thousand veterans, right? And I bring that up every episode. Why? Because it changes how I think. My current perspective, how I talk, how I interact with people is an output. It's a byproduct of all these veteran interactions. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, I also coach boxing here locally. We have a YouTube channel that we're crossing 300,000 views, and people from all over the world are watching our classes, right? So coaching wise, we're starting to get a global footprint. Yep, yep, yep. That's my spiel.
100%.
Uh,
I love it.
Floor
I
is
love
yours.
it. Yeah, for sure. What's up, everyone? My name is Zal. I'm an engineer that has recently founded the ZOW, where we are a community that demystifies emerging technology for musicians to empower independent artists and to really bring the profit margins back towards them, as well as the intellectual property rights back towards them. So, really just trying to help independent musicians in any way we can.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome. Well, real quick here. How do we know each other? We met each other through Brandon David, who's a venture
100%.
capitalist. What Music Tech Ventures? That's
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he's doing some really cool stuff. An amazing community builder, and honestly, a lot of what I've learned that we'll probably talk about today, I learned from good communities like what Brandon has built.
Oh my gosh, that's a perfect segue. That is our topic. That will be the essence of this conversation: is how to build a community. Zal is better at it than just about everybody else I know. And when we prepped for this recording, we kicked around. We brainstormed a bunch of different topics, and the one that threw up my spidey sense, or the one that the one that felt right was talking about community. Like, oh my gosh, you are doing a lot of stuff. Super cool. Okay, well, let's get into the unique part of this episode. I did not write an article ahead of time for this conversation, which I normally do. Normally, I write an article without talking to my guest at all. They pick the topic.
Yeah,
I research independently. I write this article independently, and then we discuss it at the same time, right? And that's on purpose. That's deliberate to kind of foster the conversation. It's a conversational guide, and because we don't know it ahead of time, you actually got to think on the fly. It's a conversation. Yep, yep. Well, winging it, not having this
Mhm.
article ready, I just used ChatGTP to write me a 300 word one page article. And let me start out. Actually, I'll share the screen and then let me
Awesome,
share the screen here and then we'll get into it. Oh my gosh, I
awesome.
gotta find this. Normally I have this all set up. Whatever, we're rolling with it.
We're working with it. I love it. There we go. Here we
Yes,
go.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I haven't read this. If you see my prompt up there, it's super simple. This is going to be awesome. Like neither Zal or I have seen what this said. So functionally speaking, this is going to work out just like a normal episode of Easy to Read Deep Thoughts. Why? Because it's we don't know what it's going to say. It might be wrong. It might be right. We might agree. We might disagree. It's going to be a genuine conversation. So my
Super fun
prompt
and unique. Let's do it.
first, I the prompt that's not included here. How many words are in an average one page article? 300 is what it said. Okay, so write a 300-word article for the best ways to build a community of like-minded people. And that was coming from our previous conversation. Was that last week or the week before?
Yeah, something like that. I think
Yeah.
a huge part of community and building something successful has to be around that like-minded people, right? You have to have a vision or an ethos that goes a certain way. So yeah, I'm excited to see what AI has to say about it.
Yeah, this is gonna be sweet. I'm actually pumped. This is gonna be great. Okay,
Yeah, it's a
well, that
three-way
was
conversation.
yeah, totally. That was the prompt was me recalling your point from our previous conversation the best I could, which is I just asked you to confirm that my memory was correct.
Mm.
Okay, let's dive into it. We're gonna read it a paragraph at a time and then toss our thoughts at it, bounce thoughts back and forth. Building a community of like minded people can be incredibly rewarding, offering support, shared experience, and mutual growth. Here are some of the best ways to create and nurture such a community. That's too fluffy. I talk way more blunt or way more coarse. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Number one, identifying a clear purpose. Uh, to bring together like minded individuals, first clarify the community's purpose. That seems obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it is to discuss a common interest, support each other's growth, or accomplish shared goals, a well defined purpose helps attract the right people. Be clear about what you want your group or what your group stands for and what members can expect. That's that's fair. I know when I'm writing articles, and I don't have a lot of experience building groups. I'm a boxing coach, so I guess I've done that by default, but I've never done that as the direct intent, right? It was always like a
Mhm.
secondary goal. It happened by default, right? So I've never actually thought about it ahead of time, or this conversation is going to be unique. It's outside of my deliberate, intentional experience.
I love it.
Um, yeah, I know when I write articles, I usually start on the top, telling people what I'm going to tell them. That cheesy tell people what you're going to tell them,
Mhm.
then tell them what you just told them. That's kind of that's my go-to. That's how I write stuff. And I wonder
Mhm.
if that's what this first thing is speaking to. Actually, this is a good segue. What your groups are doing awesome. What's about? Give me your origin story. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Like how did that come about? First off,
Yeah.
what are they? Because we haven't talked about that yet. What groups are you doing? And then what's the origin story? Why what were you thinking when you put it together? And then maybe the first couple of steps of putting them together.
Yeah, well, that's a super loaded question, right? We could sit here for a couple hours talking about it, but I'll be brief. So I am an electrical engineer. I graduated from RIT in 2022, and from that, I moved out to Portland, Oregon, where I met a host of amazing individuals when I was working out in Portland, Oregon, and that was kind of around the time I realized that there was a entrepreneurial spirit in what we were building. I had been working for the past 5 years as a music manager for one of my friends from college, and meeting him definitely changed my life because I started thinking completely differently when I started thinking about music production and music business and how that kind of could go together. And what I realized could be best for my artist was I could do whatever it takes in my power to get him to spend less time doing anything that's not making music. So everything I could do was trying to get him more time making music, getting better at the craft, and really getting good at the art. And I would try and take care of all of the other miscellaneous things that needed to take care of. And then that transformed into in the last year and a half into what we've built. So in 2023, kind of discovered the blockchain world, and it really fit in with everything I've built and everything I've done. It's really a unique way of playing around with tech, and it's just awesome to kind of combine not only the music and not only the technology but also the startup and entrepreneurial vibe that you get in web3. And it really is that like-minded people. There's just in it of itself, being in this space, you get around like-minded people, so you're able to jump from group to group or be in many groups at the same time. So what I spent my 2023 doing, because I realized the blockchain world was amazing, fast, but also super potentially problematic in many different ways, and definitely a challenge to navigate. So, what I realized I could do best for my artist before advising him on anything was joining a bunch of communities. So, I spent 2023 joining as many communities in general, but also music communities specifically, and getting in with the as many music artists that were out there in the space that were kind of releasing different things at times or had different things out there, and I just tried to join any community I could and see what they were doing right, what they were doing wrong, what where I could see improvement. And then some of them, if they were good communities, I stayed, I contributed, I participated as much as I could. And that's been amazing because that has given me the gift of finding my community through meeting all of these communities. And through that, I was able to kind of ideate and think about this platform, which is called the ZOW. And the ZOW is an idea my number two candy toy box kind of ideated when we were working together on a DAO. We were the last two remaining of a DAO of previously 40 and about 8 when I joined it. And because we were the last two remaining, she decided that she was better equipped, kind of working on the vision I had been talking about, what we could build for musicians and all of these different things. So she started helping me think about the ways we could use the experience we had learned in that DAO to create something better, and also take models of all of the good communities I've seen, whether that be in Web3 or in my life previously, whether that be Ski Patrol, Boy Scouts, or my or my family community near home. So there's a lot of good models that I've had for seeing a good community, and what I kind of take as a good community is whatever you kind of put in and contribute, you get like 10 times that in rewards just naturally by contributing and by giving. And that's where good communities come in, and all these communities that I've been able to participate and contribute in, I've seen all of those blessings kind of be returned to me in what I've been creating, and in not only the ways physically and socially and materially, but also in the ways of me learning what models and constitutes a good community and where we could take that and run with it, especially as we're trying to navigate this difficult world in the music industry, where we really want to go direct to artists and utilize the blockchain and showcase the technology that's out there, and shine a light on all of the different things that people can play around with. So there's a lot of ways our community got started, but it ended up just being ways that we could help independent musicians. So some of the ways is we throw live events and we have musicians at those. We also have been doing online events as well. And we've also been trying to incorporate musicians in different tooling we're creating, but also spotlighting tooling that's out there that other founders have built that might be useful for musicians in getting their name out there. So it's been an ongoing process, but all in all, the ZOW is a community of like-minded people, whether those be music enthusiasts or tech enthusiasts, where we can kind of come together and think about ways and build ways we can improve the world for musicians.
Oh my gosh, I like it. Slight deviation that we're gonna get back to. I inhaled some of my coffee as I was drinking it, and I had to go on mute. And then, like 30 seconds later, you coughed. And this is like episode 19. I have never coughed in an interview before. Awesome. And then, yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, let's go on to the next one. Leveraging well, you touched on. I was listening and paying attention to the article a little bit. Peripheral through my peripherals, if that's the appropriate way to describe it. You touched on every topic that we are going to speak to. But we're going to still dive into it in depth. Number 2, leveraging social media and online platforms. Online platforms such as Facebook groups, LinkedIn, or niche forums like Reddit. Oh gosh, I don't do anything on Reddit, but I should. It comes up. It comes up often.
Reddit is a huge part of
Reddit.
my origin story, actually. So we'll
Well,
tap
it's
into that. Yeah,
oh
I
my
didn't
gosh.
tap into it at all. It's a long segue though, so I'll have to also be brief with that. But Reddit's a huge part of where I found a like-minded community and realized, for me as a 25-year-old looking at the reality of the financial situation in the United States, that it wasn't sustainable and that there was an issue and there are problems with the inherent way it's all set up in this day and age with how technology has been presented. So that's also what started me on this mind of thinking of about crypto and alternative ways to combat inflation in different ways. So Reddit's definitely a huge stepping stone in that direction, and definitely a big part of my life in that aspect, as much as any social media.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna finish this article, but we're oh my gosh, this might be Zal and Jonathan episode 2. Because the dissemination of what I'm doing, just like my roots growing
uh,
out into the different social media platforms, it's not as easy as it sounds. I
it
on the
isn't.
I have the coaching thing going on Facebook, which there again we're doing awesome. 300,000 views in just the last few months, right? And I
Hell
didn't
yeah,
know how to upload videos to YouTube when I started that.
that's
So there's
cool.
been a mass
That's cool.
similar to boxing, it's an awful lot of me getting worked over in the process of learning. LinkedIn, I've been on LinkedIn for 8 years and I've made every mistake possible. YouTube made every mistake possible. Now I'm working on Facebook. We're building up
Mm.
my family profile into a business profile. And oh my gosh, making every mistake possible. And we're talking about Reddit. Like, holy cow, in my experience, each platform I jump into is basically the same learning curve of me smashing my fingers for months and months on end, pulling my hair out, and then it's successful. Or
Well, I have a million points to make on that, but I don't know if you want to finish this
oh
first,
yes, sir.
this
Yes,
second
sir.
paragraph first.
Let's
But
let's
I
do it.
want to
We
tell
are in
you
our
about, yeah, more on that.
We are in our last half. I like it. Okay. Online platforms such as Facebook groups, LinkedIn, or niche forums like Reddit are great for connecting with people who share your interests. Create a group, consistently share valuable content, and foster discussions that encourage members to participate, like we're doing. For a more focused experience, consider platforms like Discord or Slack, where you can set up various channels for different topics and interests. I don't do a lot with I have Discord pulled up over here, but I don't do a lot with it. Or Slack, also don't do a lot with it. Yeah.
Well, if you're cool with me sharing my screen, I'll also share my screen for what I have to say about the last couple points. But uh you were saying and talking about the challenge that there is with the learning curve of joining a new social media. And I'm gonna throw you some good news I'm gonna throw you some bad news before I throw you the good news. There's two social media platforms right now that I'm really trying to get into, and those are Farcaster Protocol and Lens Protocol. And these are decentralized social medias, so we call them DeSo. And essentially, there's a lot of other ones as well out there, but these are the two main ones, and they've essentially built this protocol that's on the blockchain that anyone can build a client on top of. So the most popular client out there is a web client, and people can use that. And you follow people on there, you like people's posts, etc., etc. And then if someone else makes a different client, a video client or a mobile-based client, all of your followers on that protocol that you liked and everything on the web client can then transfer into all of the other clients as long as they're using that same protocol. It essentially will move your follower graph with whatever new client you connect it to. So it's really cool. It's definitely the future, but it's definitely also being beta tested right now, where there's a lot of bumps along the way in different aspects, but there's cool applications that you can do in some of those social media feeds that you can't do in regular social media. And the future of it is creating one post and then pressing send and being able to send it to all of the different decentralized social medias where you can plug and play and you can see your uh, the equivalent of your Instagram feed and your Facebook feed in the same feed. So it'd be really cool to be able to connect all of those together. But I actually have utilized Discord, and that's where we've created and used our community calls. So we're playing around a lot with Discord in our community, as well as playing around with a Web3 notion. It's called Charmverse. So we're starting to create our Charmverse and use it as an asynchronized hive mind of all of the individuals in our community to get stuff done. And that's how it's a DAO tool, but there's also a lot of other tools out there for communities like ours where we want to create a DAO structure, which is a decentralized autonomous organization where there's governance system that's balanced that anyone can kind of come into and play around with. So we're currently in the process of progressively decentralizing our collective into a DAO. So that's kind of where we are, but we're looking at all these different DAO toolings that are out there and seeing what would work with our like-minded individuals where we want to forward the growth in the tech and music industry.
Oh my gosh, I like how you tied that back into the opener, the like-minded individuals. Nice work. High five.
Thank you.
Okay, we are in our last 10 minutes here, and we have 3 sections left to talk about. And oh my gosh, in terms of hosting events, your experience is much greater than mine on this particular topic. So I'm curious, I'm excited, I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Number 3, host regular events. Hey, that's ironic. What are we doing? Hosting a regular event. Organizing
100%.
regular meetups, whether online or in person, fosters a strong relationship within the group. Events like Q&A sessions. Oh my gosh, I should do that. I haven't done that yet. Virtual coffee chats or guest speaker events encourage engagement and help members get to know each other better. The personal connection built through live interaction strengthens the community bond. Actually, this is a pretty good, this article ain't bad. Yeah.
Yeah, you're halfway through it and you're liking it now because it's popping in new ideas to your brain
Yes,
that
sir.
you didn't have before. And that's the beauty of something like that, where if you can build off of it and use it as a tool, you can really leverage your game. So I love this. Hosting regular events is a huge part of what we've done, what we've built. I started in this space on the internet by an individual, a friend of mine, who suggested to me to make a new Twitter and really target crypto Twitter and see what it has to offer and learn and connect with people through that. And one of the ways she told me that you could do that was through Twitter Spaces. And Twitter Spaces essentially is an opportunity for people to broadcast to a bunch of people on an audio only platform where there's 10 slots for different speakers as well. So anyone that's listening can come up and request to speak, and it creates this live radio show esque opportunity for a lot of different people. So I started jumping in X spaces, seeing how other people hosted their spaces, and then seeing what it had to offer. And what it gave me was the ability to practice everything that I'm building, everything that I'm doing, and talk with a lot more people. So being able to network, but then see how people ran events and bring people into the fold of what we were building. We've thought about how we can host events in different ways, shapes, and forms. So we do in-person events at different conferences that are out there for our musicians to be able to showcase them. So we're having our second one in December. So I'm super
Sweet.
excited for that. But then we've also hosted a ton of online events. We have a community call once a week on Mondays at 6 p.m. every every week where we include the community in that decentralized process where members can earn points towards what we're building and what we're doing. So kind of an opportunity for people to jump in there. But then we also host different game shows where we have a competitive song battle competition called Wave Wars, as
Oh, that's
well
right.
as as well as different weekly spaces. So I'm building. I have a space that's weekly on Wednesdays that we are it's called Building in Public, and we are building a metaverse concert as well as a community event where we distribute out different awards for the year 2023 and give people a little love for all the work that they've been putting in. So that's another kind of regular event that we host every week to kind of plan out the end goal of what we're doing.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. We are in the last 6 minutes here, coming up on 6 minutes, 2 sections left, 3 minutes a section. Number 4, encourage open communication and inclusivity. Building a strong community means creating a safe, welcoming environment. Encourage members to share ideas and opinions without judgment, ensuring everyone feels valued and heard. Establish community guidelines that promote respect and inclusivity. That's actually harder than it sounds. With given the time constraint here, some people don't know that they don't know. Like you can say inclusivity, but like that means different things to different people. Respect means different things to different people. and changing that is it's an experiential, it's based on them, like it's core value kind of stuff, like
Yeah, it's actually
telling somebody what
interesting. So
respect means. Oh,
well,
go
so
ahead.
that word respect, right? So one of the communities I joined about a year ago called Optimism Fractal, they created this game in governance called the Optimism Fractal Respect game, where individuals could earn on-chain respect for the different contributions that they were making to optimism, to the blockchain, and coming in and sharing. So it was a form of tokenized respect in people that were contributing and coming back, and that's kind of what we've taken and built from, and we use some of their technology in what we've done with our Zao fractal. So we essentially do the same thing, and where we're building individuals in our communities on chain represent identity and reputation. So a little bit of these individuals are contributing to what our cause is. So we want to be able to recognize them and be able to come back in the future and be able to reward the people that were there as we built and as we're currently building, and be able to um, have a form of on-chain respect and something that is tangible, and like you said, not a perspective thing from this perspective or that perspective, but a way to potentially create something where you could see an individual's trustworthiness in what they were doing in a specific community, by utilizing and creating something like that. So I'm very excited to see what we can do with that, and how we can move forward.
Oh my gosh, there is definitely not enough time for you to answer my next question and or statement, but I'm going to toss it
Well,
out
we'll do
anyways.
number 2. We'll have to
Yeah.
do number 2 after you,
Yes, sir. Yes,
write an
sir.
article about all
But
this fun stuff we're talking about. Sorry, go
real
for it.
quick, one of the parts that kind of breaks my mind a little bit, like there's a reason we're a democratic republic, American. And I'm taking this moment to say it because my audience is military and government, or government and military. Uh, yeah, like there's a reason we have a president and Congress, because Congress by itself doesn't work, or the free for all. And I don't know enough about your stuff to speak to any of it, but I know some of the other systems, the other coins. My info is old. I last got into that. I bought my car with Ethereum like 6-7 years ago, right? And that was the end of my knowledge. But a lot of the community my 7-year-old knowledge suggested some of these community-based things were like Congress without the president, without that executive branch. And
Exactly.
my
Where the
brain,
community has an opportunity to actually go straight to the vote as opposed to having representatives vote for them, right?
well, and well, what I'm getting at is like sometimes Congress, they get the group think, or they're exposed to influence. Yeah, we don't have enough time to talk about that one. But like, oh my gosh, yeah, and I'm not even sure how to express it, but what I'm talking about is the functional state of a
The checks
democratic
and
republic.
balances
Yeah,
that are created, it's
like it
different,
works
it's
that way
different.
for a reason, and I
And
don't. Yeah, it's okay. You know what? I'm going
100%.
to call it right now. You and I are having another conversation, and holy cow! Just because I'm personally curious, but I know my audience is into this kind of topic too. Like, oh my gosh, let's spend the next one. Uh,
Governance
yeah,
governance
yeah, holy
in
cow! Oh my
Web3
gosh,
would be like,
super
that's a
cool.
huge part of what I'm trying to learn as much as I can about, and what communities out there are doing for their governance, because a
I,
huge part of this space is that it's international and everyone's joining from all these different places.
oh my
So
gosh,
how do you create something that works for everyone's in different time zones, but B,
we got.
everyone
I
has different
sorry to
backgrounds?
interject here. We're in our last minute. I got a little clock up on the
Yeah,
top
go
there.
for it.
I'm making the call. You and I are going to do another one of these, and we're going to talk about that topic specifically because, oh my gosh, I like it. Okay, number 5, providing value and recognizing contributions. Oh gosh, you just spoke to that, the respect portion. People are more likely to stay active if they feel they are gaining value and being appreciated. Share relevant resources, recognize members' contributions, and celebrate achievements to keep the community thriving. Being consistent, engagement, and welcoming atmosphere, you'll develop a meaningful community that draws people together, shared values and interests. 30 seconds here. Closing thoughts.
Oh, I love this. I'm excited. I always have
Yeah.
great conversations with you. It always leads to more thoughts. I'm excited to do conversation number two. I think governance is a perfect topic where we can dive deeper into some of the things we started talking about, because the first thing is community, but then the second thing once you build a community is governance. And that's where we're
Oh,
at, where we're
good call.
trying
Good call.
we're
Yep.
building that out. So I'd love to hear more thoughts, and I can't wait for the next episode.
Holy cow, this is awesome. Okay, well, we are done. Case closed and whatnot. Yeah,
Awesome.
subscribe. Let me end the